over the next months. Now I'm joined by Nicola Murphy, and Nicola's become a reluctant campaigner because she couldn't get a place for her child Reuben in 13 schools. He doesn't have a baptismal cert, so there's no room at the inn for him in religious schools. How are you, Nicola?
Hi.
What age is Reuben?
He's 4. He's just turned 4 this summer.
So were you planning that he start in September?
Yeah, originally, but I've no place for him for this September, so I'm trying to resolve that for next year. So,
okay. Where do you live?
I live in Townure in Dublin 6.
Right. Yeah. So the catchment area, what is that? Is the local parish, is it, or what is it?
They define it as a parish, yeah. So the parish, there's the St Joseph's Parish, I think is how they refer to it, yeah, and it spreads across a little bit of Dublin 6 and into 6W.
Okay.
Yeah. So
when you were setting out to find a place in a local primary school for Reuben, you thought you just have to apply? Well, straightforward. Did you think it'd be straightforward? Or?
Well, no, I have to be honest. He was born in 2011, so I knew there was a baby boom, so I knew there was going to be pressure of places. But I did see that things were starting to change in and around that time, and I was kind of hoping that things would have improved for non-religious families.
What sort of things? All right, yeah.
Yeah, because we're a non-religious family, so I could see that things were starting to happen in that space at that time, but nothing has really happened to fix it for us.
That the government are going to start changing things and divest the Catholic Church of their patronage of Catholic schools?
Yeah, they were looking at it, yeah. So I didn't get complacent, though. I mean, I did apply to all the local schools, all of them, and they all happened to be religious schools, but we applied to all of them at that time. Yeah.
And just to build up a picture of you, and what about your friends? Would friends of yours had children at the same time?
I can't say I have many friends with kids. Probably more now through the creche and actually through this new startup group. Now I have loads of friends in the area with kids. Yeah. And,
but are they baptised or not baptised?
A mixture. I mean, people of I mean, none of my close friends have baptised children.
Okay.
That's just
okay. So let's get the details then. 13 schools. So did you send all the letters, or you sent one hoping you get there? Did you got a response back, rejection, then went on to the next one, or what way did you do it?
So I started with 8 for 2015. So the first 4 went out to the first 4 schools in walking distance, and I applied to a couple of kind of schools in neighbouring parishes and a couple of Educate Togethers as well, and the rejections started coming in, say, last October. So the way it works is that they will take the children first that are of the same religion of the patron of the school, and then they have a number of categories of children, and at the usually at the very bottom or towards the bottom of the categories, the non-religious children are there. So
that's your Reuben.
Yeah, that's Reuben. So he's pretty much at the bottom of everyone's list for a school place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they've filled the school before that, Reuben doesn't get a place.
Exactly. Yeah, and the schools, they're not. There's a lot of conflicting requirements in the enrolment policies in the schools, because it's up to each board of management obviously to define their own enrolment policy, and in all of the schools we've applied to, they will actually take children from outside the immediate area before they would take a non-religious child from around the corner, say.
Okay, so Reuben, like all children, has a right to an education under the Constitution in his catchment area. Do he have a right to education in his catchment area?
I don't understand that. I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah.
But there are Catholic children from outside your parish getting places in schools that Reuben can't get a place in.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
right.
That's happening. Yeah.
Okay. So the first 4 schools then, they were all religious schools?
All religious schools, yeah.
And did they tell you why you weren't accepted?
Yes, in different ways.
Okay, go
Sometimes
on.
you have to chase them. Sometimes you will get a phone call. I did get a couple of letters. The letters vary from "we're very sorry you didn't get a place" to "we're very sorry you didn't get a place. Here's the list of categories, and your number is 100 and whatever." So there's no consistency in the information that you get back either. Yeah.
Okay. So then that's 8 or whatever. Then you went outside your catchment area.
Yeah, I mean, I had with the 8, I'd gone outside the catchment area anyways, but I did widen the search area. And to be honest, like, most of the schools now on that list are just impractical. They're too far away. We have another baby in the creche, so I don't know how we would manage, but we'd figure something, I suppose.
So what have you done about it then?
Well, obviously we're incredibly stressed about the whole thing, very anxious about it, and so I could either sit around for another year and stress about it, which I'll probably do anyway, but we decided to try and make contact with other parents who might have been having difficulty getting school places, and we formed a startup group for an Educate Together. So we're campaigning in the local area to establish one by next year. And
just give us a sample of their stories.
Very different stories. Some of them are in the same situation as me. Some of them are in a worse situation in that they need a place this year and they don't have one. So the parents range from non-religious parents like us to parents that maybe are a religious minority, and parents that are religious but just recognise, or they would just have a preference for an Educate Together model, more, more future school, more inclusive, more quality based. That's what they want for their children.
Okay, and you met recently with the Minister for Education, Jan O'Sullivan.
We did, yeah. Kevin Humphrey set it up for us, and we went in to meet her last Tuesday, and we brought with her a lot of information that demonstrated the demand for the school. Some of it was historical surveys that they had conducted themselves that recognised there was a need for an Educate Together in Dublin 6. But also we gave her an expressions of interest list of 500 children's names that we had collected over the previous 4 weeks. Okay. So I mean, that's huge interest in an Educate Together school in the area. Yeah.
And the whole Educate Together thing, it's a sort of haphazard. It's not a government policy. It sort of happens like if there's a demand in the area, a group of parents get together, approach the Educate Together people, and then it goes from there.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's grassroots. Yeah, definitely this campaign has come from the parents. Yeah.
So I know you're only a parent and you just want a place for your Reuben in a primary school that is within your catchment area. But through your research and through talking to people, you obviously sort of pinpointed what the issues when it comes to primary school education in this country are. So give us a few of those, what you think they are.
Well, I think equality of access is a big problem. I think that no child should be considered a category, 11 of 11. I think that's disgraceful. It's very.
But over 90% of our primary schools are under the patronage of the Catholic Church.
This is true, and I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. So I think that we need to find a solution for parents like us right now. Yeah. And there's also the issue of the equality of the child once they're in a school place. So if you do manage to secure a place, you don't want your child to be considered an outsider. You don't want to have to try and opt out of things, them being excluded from things, that kind of thing. I think that's also an issue for a lot of the parents we've spoke to. Yeah. So,
in your meeting with the Minister for Education, Jan O'Sullivan, were you just talking at her? Did she say that she had plans in the pipeline or anything?
Well, she did say that she would take the information to the department and go and review it.
But you were just specifically talking about an Educate Together in your area,
because that's pretty much all I can do as a parent. Of course,
yes.
And that's the best I can do for Reuben and hopefully some other children in the area as well. But
because we've covered this before on the other programme we did, and a lot of people, young parents of young children, get their children baptised because they realise that coming down the road is the problem that you are in the middle of.
I don't blame them. The pressure on our family has been immense. The stress has been terrible, and it's like a cloud hanging over us for the last 2 years since we realised that this, it's completely out of your hands. You've no control over it. I mean, we have to operate within the system that doesn't cater for us.
It's a flawed system, obviously. Everyone admits that. Even the Catholic Church admit that.
Yeah.
Like Diarmaid Martin has publicly said that the Catholic Church need to divest, some of their interest in some of the schools, because obviously the 90% of schools run by the Catholic Church doesn't reflect how people live their lives now. Yeah,
I think so, and I think that Ireland has changed. I mean, Ireland doesn't really accept inequality anymore, so I think that this is going to become a bigger issue because, we're talking about 4-year-olds, they don't understand religion. They don't.
But you see, you're a campaigner now, right? So Ruben will get a place. There's no doubt about that. He'll get a place. He has a right to an education.
Yeah, somewhere he'll get a place.
And
somewhere.
then you don't campaign anymore because it's... Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the problem is still there. It continues for the next set of parents who come along next year, and nothing will
And there
really
will be
change.
a different Nicola in a different radio studio telling her story next year and the year after and the year after. Unless the government, lead as they should do and do something about it. In my kids' Catholic school, no baptism cert is asked for or required. It's a rural school. This is the difference, i.e. glad to get numbers. It's a numbers game in Dublin, i.e. so busy, can conveniently use baptism as excuse to keep out. Most clubs and institutions have eligibility rules if you want to join, so why the big deal following Catholic school rules? Marie and Galway. Well, the reasons are as outlined, because 90% of Catholic schools are run by Catholics, and I would... state categorically that not 90% of the population are practicing Catholics anymore. That's the situation we're in. I'm a bit lost, Ray. Why can't Ruben get into the nearest Educate Together school? Did Nicola not say 2 turned her down? Because they're full. Yeah,
I think he's there's more than 300 ahead of him on one list. There's 256 ahead of him on another. None of the 4 are actually particularly, well, they're all far away. They're not on direct bus routes anyway, so...
But I think... just reading between the lines, one of your big gripes is that Catholic children from outside the catchment area are getting into schools in your catchment area, and Ruben can't.
Yeah, if you look at a non-religious parent trying to get into a school, and you're in an area where they're oversubscribed, you're at the bottom of everybody's list. Plus, there's no Educate Together down the road that's going to give you preference, because they're equality based. That's just usually there's only one category, usually first come first served. So that's the difficulty we're having.
Stay with us. We have to take a break to go to the studios of Radio on the Gaeltacht in Cosla for Nocht.